want to bring out your gear, you can take it home.
I'm on the bike.
Where?
Wear it. It's actually not a bad idea.
Cascade! Shawnee, hey! Shani, hey! Utagani, hey!
お願いします。
Yeah, that'll work. 1, 2, 3, front row, 1, 2, 3, 4, make back row. Front row, back up. Okay, step out, left front stance, left middle guard. Hey. Coming forward, knee lift. Hey. Hey. Up. Like that. Hey. 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 Up. Like that. Hey. Everybody that is giving me the no neck thing, relax. Yeah. Relaxed muscle works better. Better transfer of energy. And bowing those shoulders up and tightening everything up is just a waste of energy that you will need later in a fight.
Yes, yes.
Relax the shoulder, relax the mind, relax the body. As much as possible. Shito-ryu is a level hip. It doesn't do a wavy hip. There are other things that we do where you get kind of a wavy hip going on. Not here. As much as possible, you're going to stay low. Whatever you set your hip at, that's where you set your hip at. Straightening that base leg for a kick, put your weight up. It makes it really easy for me to do my favorite of all things, which is pick you up, stick you on top of your head, and bounce you. Stay low, stay grounded.
Yes, yes.
Hey! Hey! Up! Like that.
Hey.
Hey! Hey! Up! Like that.
Hey.
Good. High soak of you. Instep kick.
Yes.
Hey! Hey! Up! Like that.
Hey.
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 Ushiro giri, back kick. Hey! Hey! Up! Like that.
Hey.
Hey! Hey! Up! Like that.
Hey.
One more time. Hey! Hey! Up! Like that.
Hey.
Hey! Hey! Up! Like that.
Hey.
Mind you, front kick.
Yes.
Hey! Hey! Up! Like that.
Hey.
Hey! Hey! Up! Like that.
Hey.
Hey! Hey! Up! Remember, high Sokogiri, the angle of impact for all intents and purposes is up, perpendicular to the top of your foot. For a front kick, angle of impact is horizontal. Front kick is your foot punch.
Yes.
Travels the same way as a punch. Don't be kicking up with a front kick. That's not what it's for. Other things are for that. Out. Like that.
Hey.
Hey! Hey! Up! Like that.
Hey.
Good. Now we've got the legs warmed up, get to the point I wanted to get to. Side kick. For all intents and purposes, all of us in this room need a lot of work on our side kick, some more than others. Remember, side kick is a hip joint kick. It's not a knee joint kick. from my middle guard, as I come up and I make my knee load, it is not the knee joint that does the work. It is the hip joint. This is another punching motion with my leg,
This.
not a swinging motion with my leg. Toes are back like in a front kick, foot is positioned, I go out, straight out. Kicking with the outside edge of my heel, so that heel, knee, hip, shoulder are one straight line.
This.
Cover, step forward.
This.
Up, shift, out.
This.
But it's an out, not a swing.
Hey.
Hey. Yeah, front 45
Yes.
seconds. Hey. More hip, less knee. Scott. Up. Better. Like this.
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Up. Like this.
Hey.
Touch the outside edge of your heel. This part from here. Keep it still.
Yes.
Hey. That way. Hey. Up. Like this.
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Same thing with the knee load, for the second knee load for the side kick. It's not the knee joint pulling heel to butt. It's the hip joint pulling the knee up into a knee load.
This.
Up. Like this.
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Up. Like this.
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Up. Like this.
Hey.
We're back to old habits, so. Hey. Hey. Up. Like this.
Hey.
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 Yeah, man. How many people here have not been taught Mwashigiri round kick yet? Everybody knows Mwashigiri? Okay. I don't know what that is. Yes or no? You told learned it somewhere else. Okay, I got it.
No, we're gonna miss it.
Somewhere in there, maybe?
We did it way back in
Way
Sean
back
Pond.
when?
It's all about who was my man.
That's what I thought. Okay, just checking. Round kick. Going forward. As I start to do my knee load, I'm going to prep my base foot because I need to make room for my hip to get it around. Knee load, horizontal. This one does come with kind of a knee here. Retract, set forward. Knee, kick, set it back down.
This.
Foot position. Well, shouldn't say it that way. Striking surfaces. You have three choices. You have the shin, top of the foot, ball of the foot, which gives you two foot positions. Either you have the toes pulled back like in a front kick, or you have the toes pointed like in an instep kick. For us, if you're going to pull the toes back, you're striking with the shin.
This.
When you see people kicking with their instep in a round kick, tournament only. You power kick something with the top of your foot in a round kick, you're going to break your foot. The instep kick is not a powered kick, it's a technique kick in how you manipulate the foot to get it to do its job. If you're striking with the top of the foot. Typically, if you're striking with the top of the foot in the step kick, you're still ending up with the shin, for the most part as well. Ball of foot, kicking around into the ball of foot. If you're old school, you get another choice, which is your big toe. Big toe kick is a really wonderful thing. It's the same thing as like a one knuckle kick.
Yes, it is.
Round kick, front kick, is a good thing. I don't know how these guys did it. Hanshi, his first dojo with his first instructor in Japan, Ando Sensei, in the back of the dojo was a small pine forest. Every student got their own pine tree. That was your punching bag. So every day they would go out and they would punch the pine tree, they would kick the pine tree, and they would kick the pine tree with their big toes. He's done that so often that he no longer has the joints in the big toe bone structure. From his ankle to the tip end of his big toe is one solid piece of bone. He can't really bend his toes anymore. So when he sticks that front kick, round kick, big toe up on your floating rib, it hits your floating rib and it feels like it's coming up right about your aorta, your core. Right? It hurts a lot. Those of us who came up with Hanshi can do it a little bit on soft body tissue. He's kicked me in the head one time with that big toe. That hurts a lot too. I don't recommend kicking things with your big toe unless you practice kicking things with your big toe. And I'll tell you a really funny story to illustrate why. At one time, Hanshi was hired by Valencia College to teach karate for their PE program. The job I had at the time allowed me a certain flexibility on my schedule. So every once in a while I would take off work and I'd train with him. He liked for me to come down there because the actual college students, he couldn't put hands on. It was against the rules. But if I showed up as Uki, he would beat dog snot out of me, just to show them what they were supposedly learning. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time unconscious when I did that. But anyway, they moved his, class was in a dance room about the size of the dojo. They moved him out of there one time for whatever reason and put him in the basketball court. They just second off as a basketball court. The court wall, it's a block building. So when I got there, Hanshi was up against the wall and he was just kind of warming his toes up by driving his big toe into that block wall. Not hard, but just warming it up. One of the guys in his class, being a 22-year-old college student, who was a green belt in ninjutsu, came in. He came in and goes, we're over here in the corner. I'm looking at the door. This kid comes in. He sees Hanshi. He's looking at me like, oh man. I'm looking at this kid and going, he cannot be that stupid. I can see what he's thinking. I'm like, he cannot possibly be that stupid. So I'm watching him. Hanshi's got his back to him. He goes over to the wall and he's looking at Hanshi. He's looking at Hanshi. He rears back and full bore drives the big toe square into that block wall. He screams. I laugh. Hanshi turns around. He sees what happened. He laughs. His buddy, who happened to walk in the door at that time, goes over to him all concerned. By the time Hanshi and I got over there, his foot was the size of a football. Load him up and go. So don't do stupid things.
Yes.
If you want to keep with your big toe, great. Learn how to do it.
Yes.
Okay. Nothing but the safety lecture. All right, step out, left front, stands up, blue guard. Washigiri, round kick. Hey. Hey. Up. What there? Remember on the second knee low, on the retraction, reset your hip. Don't let the hip stay at an angle. You have to reset your hip back to your front stance before the foot hits the ground. Hey. Hey. Up. What there?
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Up. What there?
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Up. What there?
Hey.
Alright, yeah, man, I meant to bring this up. Earlier, I keep forgetting that you guys are just illustrating a point. Face that way. Just do round it. I'll count you do. I want everybody to watch for a second. Hey! Hey! Up! Alright, yeah, man, come back and watch. Face that way. Round it. Hey! Hey! Up! What the? Everybody see, McCall did it last when everybody was watching me doing it live, but everybody's doing this to one degree or another. Watch the kick. Hey! Hey! Right here, everybody is pausing. Everybody does this. It's universal, human behavior.
My back down.
Once the kick goes out, once the kick goes out, everybody's doing it, the kick, fine. You'll reload and you'll pause here. There's literally like a 2 heartbeat count for most people, and then the leg goes down. And for all intents and purposes, you're letting the leg fall to the ground. You're not putting it on the ground. If I'm here and I'm engaged in this, and I round kick this guy, and I go pause, ease the foot down, right in the middle of that. The placing of the foot should be quiet and gentle like everybody's doing, but it needs to be an active motion that I am putting the foot down. I'm not dropping the foot, and I'm not tentatively testing the water.
Yes.
Plus.
Those of you that spar with me, how many times have I caught your leg?
How many times?
How many times? What's the counter to that?
Don't hold it out there.
Well, A, don't hold it out there, let me catch it. But if I catch it,
Punch you.
well, you can try that.
Bring it down. Turn it.
Right. If I'm out here and this guy catches putting my foot down, literally, is how I get out.
Yes.
And then I hit.
Yeah, we still get hit.
Well, the thing is that if we're sparring and I catch your foot and you decide to start swinging on one leg, normally what happens is I sweep you and I thump you and then hit you in the face. I'm just saying. You can do it. Or you can do like Jorge tried. Since Jorge tried one time to headbutt me. I don't suggest that either. That did not go well for him. It's a little hard, so don't do that. All right, everybody up. Again.
It's like one of my old tricks.
What, the headbutt? Oh, you're a headbutt?
See, but you at least headbutt right. He decided to headbutt the soft part of his face into the top of my head.
Nice.
Because he's like 2 inches taller than I am, and I was already under him because I had a hold of him. So he's just face planted right on top of my head. Oh, that was just not a good idea. All right, left front stance, left middle guard. Round kick. Hey! Washigiri. Hey! Up! What the?
Hey.
You want the hip is turned over and actually kind of pointing to the ground on your inside, if at all possible. That's the textbook. Hey! Hey! You gotta let the hip turn. The lower leg is going in a horizontal fashion. Hey! 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 What the?
Hey.
Hey! Hey! Up! 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 What the?
Hey.
Good, yeah, man. Questions on kicking?
The side kick. Why 45 degrees and not straight up?
for whatever reason, in Shikuru, when these guys put Shikuru together, they were thinking more of the opponent is in front of you and you're kicking at a knee. So to kick it, you know, if Mikhail's directly in front of me, kicking directly straight is not ideal at this position. 45 is where his knee is going to be. Most of that, my personal opinion, is because in Okinawa and the original Okinawan styles, the Okinawan mindset was hands versus hands, feet versus feet. So they typically did not kick above the waist, it was all leg kicks. So that's where I think it came from. We do inline side kicks, drill sparring, because he's far enough away from me to do it. But in the basic format, the basics were set up as a 45 side kick. Anything else? You good? The traditional tension hoppo, you have all 8?
Yeah. When you're doing any standard kick, do you find you make room a little with the leg that is?
Oh, you have to, yeah.
Okay.
You have to. There's only one person I've ever seen in my entire life that can lock that front leg forward, kick, and not tear a knee out.
Yes.
To life of me, I cannot, still to this day, cannot understand how he is not torn a knee out. And some of you know him. He trains here, okay. But it's his thing, but no, you're gonna have to make room for it. Anything else? All right, Shion, if you don't mind, take the 2 yellow belts.
Hey.
Tension hoppo 1 through 4, please. Everybody else, shoot. Shoot. Combative tension hoppos, any yet?
1 through 4.
1 through 4.
No, sir.
All 8, sir.
All 8, all 8, all 8, all 8.
Remember, sir?
All right,
Okay,
we'll go.
let's see what you have. Tension hoppo number 1.
Combative tension hoppo number 1.
Is
Okay,
Hang
ready?
on, watch first. Go.
Here. Okay, certainly.
Down block.
Stepping
reverse
out.
punch, lead leg, round kick,
Down block, front stance.
reverse punch.
Number 2, middle level punch. Number 3, pull the front foot back about 6 inches and do a down block. And then return.
On.
So it looks like this. Tension hoppo number 1.
8.
1, 2, 3. And then return.
Go.
On the count. What can we move? 8,
Rope.
8. Time.
8.
Back. Again. 8. 8. Time. Back.
Yeah.
You get better, longer
Yeah.
front stance. On the first-
Just like all the tension hoppo, if the tension hoppo is creeping forward or back or side to side, readjust
Return.
for drill purposes back to your original starting position, so we don't run over each other. The only reason that you do that in a drill
Return.
is to keep the room cohesive. Trust me, I've been in large groups of people doing karate, they get all jacked up, and you turn around and you walk into a punch.
This. See the problem here?
Nobody wants that, it
This
sucks.
needs to come here.
Hey.
Come here. Same thing, you're creating a triangle between this shoulder and this shoulder. From a basic standpoint,
Oh.
here. In the grand scheme of things, there's nothing wrong with a high quadrant or even a low quadrant with that hand or something like that.
Oh.
Because that has an effect on the body of what you want.
Brandon, I have no
So,
idea
from
why
a
you think
basic
this is a cat
standpoint,
stance.
center.
Hanzen, front,
Okay.
half front stance, back stance, there we go.
Keep it about mid-level, so don't really come up here. So you're dealing with about this area right here. Okay, return. Okay,
Or slide back.
one count,
I don't know,
all the way through.
kind of weird, yeah, a little bit.
And return
Up.
on your own. 8.
8.
8.
Oh,
Sign.
rope.
Okay.
8.
Give me the second down block,
Punch.
punch. How's the timing, step back and the load and?
Two.
Let me give you a little information on that.
2.
This intent,
Uh,
2.
number 2.
So, down block,
Rising block, good
Punch.
Rising block, reverse, round kick, reverse.
both,
Oh, for those of you that don't know,
okay? Now,
the tension hoppo, the traditional
last
tension
motion
hoppo,
still
they
has a
are,
forward
for all
projection
intents and
of square.
purposes, kind of universal, at least the
Provides me as a
concept
bucket
of tension hoppo are
Projection.
universal.
of intent.
So we got those through
So,
Hanchi, where he got them
Don't
from,
want to
I
get in
don't know.
this habit where you
The combative
down
tension
block,
hoppo,
punch,
Xian James
withdraw.
loves tension hoppo.
See all this?
It's like a
Is that
fetish for
blank?
him doing tension hoppo. I
Here,
kid you not on that.
here, because you make me.
He was talking with Hanchi years ago.
So you don't
Yeah,
wanna look at
traditional's
that
all
as
well and
far
good,
as
but how does that
failing
translate to
out.
fighting?
You wanna
So
look at
Hanchi
it
went,
as
make them up.
creating a little space.
So now
because
the
you might
challenge
need
was
to do
on.
something else.
So Xian James actually came up with the
Okay,
combative
one
tension
count
hoppo.
all the way
So
through.
this punishment is
Return on
due
that.
directly to him. I'll tell you, the tension hoppos are enough of a fetish for him. One day he and I were standing around talking, he's like, is that tension hoppo in Kabuto? I'm like, no, not that I know of.
Cheat.
Well, I bet you can't figure them out.
Okay, you have it on your
So at first I went,
Basic
yeah,
standpoint.
whatever,
Yeah.
that's too much work, I ain't gonna deal with it.
Towards
So I'm
the
driving
middle.
home that night, got about halfway home, went, God, son of a, you know, I hate you, because now it's a brain worm.
That must
So I had
take
to.
place for that to be.
So for
appropriate.
Kabuto,
But if you
we
start
got
here,
bow,
all
side,
you're doing is
ultra,
just
nunchaku, color.
impact.
I had to come up with
You're not
5
doing-
sets of tension hoppo.
Twisting motion.
Took me a while.
Twisting motion
I
has
did,
a
I
couple
filmed it.
different,
I've got him no more to
Purposes?
film for like 3 days, and he goes,
one of them is this.
that's cool, but you can't do it for knife. Oh, you son of a, I hate you.
Yeah,
So I came up with it for knife, and then I told him if you ever said the word tension hoppo to me again, I'd stab you in the throat.
With one of your night tension.
Basically, the only thing left is gun and sword, and I'm like, I really don't want to see a sword. Tension hoppo, we got other things. That's quick, the sword tension hoppo.
It makes impact.
All right, there's your break. Tension hoppo combative number 2.
Okay.
There's, oh, in case you haven't figured it out by now too, Xian James loves the lead leg round kick.
Kenny last week.
So if you ever lead leg round
When
kick,
it comes to.
anything you do with him, for him, he asks you to do something, you throw in a lead leg round kick, you're gravy.
There's usually a.
Hey!
Up, and you're down in. The push up is basically moving muscle and blood out of the way, and then going into the point. So the twisting of the hand
Oh!
against the impacting object is another version of that. So,
Rope.
people sit there and go, yeah, I'm doing it. No,
See?
there is purpose to it. So, try to work with just like if you were tapping
Hut.
the side, and then
Put that clock back.
twisting all the way down to that position.
Feng shui out.
Okay?
Yeah.
One count, whole thing.
Maybe it looks there, thank you.
Yeah. Now, would I actually do anything like that? I find that hard to believe about
Just
myself.
happy to be here.
Exactly. Hey!
Cheat,
Hey!
go.
Up!
Rope,
Hey!
cinch,
Thank you. Oh!
ice. Two,
Rope!
two.
See?
Okay, tension hop on number 2.
Hey!
That one we went forward, and this was our active hand. Next one, we go back, and this becomes our
Yeah.
active hand. So, step back, rising block,
Yeah.
mid-level punch,
Good.
that stagger back, slide back, shuffle back,
Number
down
3,
block.
Brandon, show him.
Again.
One
One,
again, slower.
2,
Outer forearm block. Round kick,
Is the reset when?
reverse punch.
I guess to get back to,
Is it now?
yeah,
Did I throw a round kick on the other one?
2,
No? Okay, bring something else.
and come back up. So if you
Okay,
step forward,
I'll buy
then
that.
you're gonna step back, if you step back, then you're gonna step.
You
Yeah,
think
wait,
Christmas
no,
gravy
wait.
ain't out of you yet? Alright, number 3.
Hey! Sir.
For the combative tension up, switch feet. The combative tension up will follow the same angle, so you're gonna step straight to that
Eight.
side for number 3.
Son.
This one, it's this Katayuki. Yeah, no, don't turn it over.
Make sure that when
Turn
you
it
step
out
back,
that way.
And then,
Then round kick,
when you're in your
set it down, punch towards the sweet
Consider-
spot.
ready stance, or good stance,
and then go back, there you go.
But your front stance, actually, it's actually slightly wider than,
Hey,
so when you're taking that foot back, and you end up going
hold,
straight back to that same point, it's almost a bit thin. So make sure that you get
Jason, your
stable
front foot
location.
comes
Notice my
back,
feet are
make
actually
the
a little
angle
wider
of the
than my
back
shoulders.
foot.
Okay, it was back.
You're going that way
Base of that
to
point.
make that side angle.
We don't want it to be exactly the shoulders, because it doesn't quite have the same base.
Hey,
Okay, so, as we know, it goes in and then it goes out.
hold,
We'll have it done, it goes straight out. Okay,
hey,
again, one count move. Hey.
oh,
This hand should be over that here. If it's over this here,
go,
this half you don't care about.
hey,
Hey.
touch,
Don't lock your elbow.
good,
Turn.
good.
One count move.
Good. Number 4.
Huh? G.
Down block, back fist,
Eight.
round kick, reverse
Right.
punch.
Post. G.
Hey. Step over, down block, back
Hey.
fist, round kick,
Huh?
reverse punch.
G.
Hey,
Eight. Eight. Huh? G.
done,
Okay, one count all the way through. Eight.
hey, oh,
Eight.
go,
Huh?
hey,
G.
punch,
Go.
here. Two.
Go.
Hey. Good, come on.
Siege.
Question down any of those tension off.
Hutch. Hutch.
Okay. The last thing that I wanted to cover tonight is double blocking.
Okay.
We know that we have double blocking, roll
Careful
two.
angle of your
This-
block. You're
That's what
allowing
I'm
the
talking
fist
about.
to get about
In
the same
every
level
block
as the
that we
elbow,
do,
because this is 90 degrees.
both
There's
hands
nothing to stop.
are
It
working.
needs to be at
His-
45 degrees. 'cause if
Which
it gets
one
hit,
is
it's gonna slide
actually
more than
the
10
blocking
downward.
hand?
So try to
First
strive
one,
for
sorry.
more of the
First one.
45 angle.
The
If you
inside
go
one.
less than that,
The
becomes
one that's not
incrementally more
doing the
difficult to
block.
keep up.
Then what's the other hand doing?
Okay,
Second,
number 3.
Striking, breaking, grabbing.
safety net.
What?
Safety net.
Safety,
Right.
safety net, exactly.
This one goes out to
So
the
if we're
side.
here,
The attacker is still coming from the front, just like the other two did.
and he steps
At this
in
point,
and
you are
does
stepping
high
out of the
punch.
way and blocking that
My
punch
prep
that's coming in
for my rising
that
block
point,
is this plus
you're
sign
striking
or
out
X sign, depending
into
upon
his
body
rib.
angle. This hand is
Again,
actually doing the block.
worrying that he's
Going
gonna fire.
inside
You're going to turn
and down, depending upon
into-
where I want that hand to go. So as the punch comes
Basically,
in
what
and I'm
looks to
making
be-
my prep
You can see
here,
because he's here, but this is the way it was taught.
this
It looks like this.
does other
Block.
nasty things.
Punch
It gets it out of my way,
hard, more than support.
break
is here.
things,
But I've seen
punch,
people get it this way.
whatever
One,
it is.
2.
He punches again, same thing here,
Right there,
coming
this is-
down
it was given to me. It was 1,
and then
2,
block.
3.
No?
This,
I've also seen it.
Is there anything wrong with
1,
that?
2, back
No,
fist, and it's
no,
not,
no.
it's a block.
It's just
Slower.
sheet
That's like we
everything.
do.
What?
Slower.
Slower?
3.
it is over the hand.
One,
Depends
two,
where
maybe.
the hand is.
I can see your point.
Technically, or is there?
Technically,
We should have.
Farther
just
away,
say maybe not slow.
So-
well, this
Farther
is-
away? Okay, you're farther away, I'll buy.
It doesn't depend on where the hand is. where
But yeah,
the-
the bottom line later, it depends. There's nothing wrong with it to answer the
So,
question that I
comes
actually
in
asked,
half
but it has other
front
purposes.
stance. If I was gonna do a full front stance,
Here, if I'm
it's a
doing
full front stance.
this and I'm
This,
down and twisting it
Still front stance
here,
but it's
it
not
does
quite
another
as
side.
stretched and
I
not
can
quite
blend
as-
it all together.
A lot of times it's a
Get
transitional
other things
stance.
that we're
You're
doing.
not gonna be in that state for very long.
Oh,
This,
Uh,
so here's what I want you to do. Go back to your
One, two,
original line.
three.
Here we go.
and then back.
All right, let's do this. Mikhail, you take my man out to start with. Front row, turn around, face your rear row.
C. 1.
All right, back up a
This is
little bit.
actually kind of at the 45.
Here's what I want you to do. You're gonna, I'm not gonna count this. You're gonna come
Step back.
forward 5, high punch.
that foot step back,
rising block with the double blocking
stepping
motion.
forward, punching
You
here.
go back, 5 punches,
One,
stop, get
two,
up and yoy,
now,
and then
step
rotate.
back in, once you pull this shoulder back.
Face
With
each other.
back in towards me.
Opposite hand, same hand, come in.
No, you're gonna switch hands because you're doing left, right.
So,
I mean,
that's how I got that.
So
Somebody
are
else
you
touch
coming-
something different than that?
Are they coming with the opposite hand that I'm blocking with?
This is.
That was-
Oh, I don't care, block inside, block offside, I don't, that doesn't bother.
This,
I just want the double blocking motion, that's all I care about.
give you the
And then just in the
basics.
interest of time, 5 up, 5 back, rotate.
Okay,
Alright, how'd you go?
but it's a 50-50. Don't allow this to go 90-10. You're basically just stepping out the way of that train, driving that head just enough far up. You weren't able to come back here because I drove that hand far enough. Guess what? I also exposed that rib. And then when you realize it was over here, you can do one of two things. The hand that's out, you can go backwards.
Just up and back once. Once you're back, you've done 5, stand up, rotate, automatically.
I
You
got
got
to
it
do a
done.
turn punch.
Okay, you're gonna take where Brandon's spot, and then you're gonna come up where Brandon was, face Ken, there you go.
So, go
Alright.
tell him move.
Same thing, how'd you make?
8. 450, there you go. 8, 45-degree punch at the grid level, not at my shoulders. If I'm here, this is what you're going for. You punch up here? Sure, go ahead. I'm not that worried about it all. So, think about, you have to visualize the bad guy.
Alright, rotate.
Okay, back together. Try again, one kill and move. Visualize what the bad guy is, so you're hitting ribs on that, on that second motion. 8. Load that whole in. 8. There, right there. So if I were here, and all of a sudden.
Rotate.
Ribs.
Remember, if you're using this double blocking motion,
Give.
that first hand, that inside loading hand,
You have
is
this
a block, it's gotta make a block. Some of you are just kind of touching and still, you're not actually moving it in.
This? Yeah. It comes quick.
How'd you make?
One count move. 8. Move. 8. Punch. Too high. Bring it down, bring him down, bring him down. Oh. There you go. Next motion. 8. Now, that front leg goes from this Chico position.
Rotate, just leave him in
This
the spot where
drags
he was.
closer to this one pivots.
Right,
So,
Put him with that.
so, this one is the most traveled.
How'd you make?
This one's the most traveled, this one's the one that pretty much stays. This one's going from here to here, this one's going from here to here.
So you're not going to go all the way to point that way, leave it and
No,
stand
no,
next to it.
no.
Fair enough.
That guy is still, okay.
So I'm not sure if I'm loading
Stand
properly.
here, load hand, stepping forward, hey. Now watch,
Am I coming this
punch.
way?
The hand is going
Mine
into
is
the
head.
rising block, should be
Is-
outside.
This is my guy right here. So when I finish, everything must be lined up on me. So this foot will be in a proper position for a Zenkusudachi or a Hanzen,
Two black
which puts it about there. This one will be in the front leg of a front stance or Hanzen, which puts it about there. Notice the center of my body is still
Before we
going straight.
started, yeah.
So I went from side
Okay,
here
good.
to,
Alright,
I'm straight going in over. Okay?
one of the things with this double blocking motion,
One count, one move.
like most things that we do here,
Mirror.
with our Shido,
Push the right direction.
it's kind of a plug and play. It doesn't have to be for a kick, it doesn't have to be for, it doesn't have to be for
Too high,
grappling.
too high.
So if I'm
This
doing
is dealing with,
just
least
a
mid-level.
single hand block, right?
now, I will say a lot of people turn this into defense against the back fist towards the head.
If we're
At least
here,
When it's here, you have the ability to go high to deal with it, but if you're up here and someone goes low,
come off that
you
back.
better hope that elbow gets there very quickly.
The big, you know.
So remember, this is
right
considered
hand.
mid-level guard, mid-level.
If he comes in, as I step in, as I
Let
make
this happen. Okay, one count
this
move.
prep motion for my block,
Okay.
You're good.
I'm good. If I make this prep motion for my block,
Right. I wouldn't be dead like that.
Actually, if I said,
What's it, when he already dead?
Okay,
When he-
take the bottom.
Not necessarily dead, but he ain't gonna be having a happy
Yeah,
day.
so it's.
It's just, like we say, that everything has a
Final
lookup.
stance,
Just the prep motion.
but you're bringing it down to.
He throws it in there as he,
How exactly does the transition work there, sir? You're here,
Already
you
done.
kind of hold this hand in,
That's
this
it.
hand.
Yeah,
so
so
in that prep motion.
one,
Just
two,
new inside.
but you watch. I end up taking this hand all the way back to this side of my body
It's hidden inside just that prep motion.
and actually end up creating enough force.
You don't always have to
make
try to
this-
make, say it's way out here, you
No,
can't,
it
it's
isn't.
too much to ask to
If
try.
I
to
were to
get it
go
all
from
the way
here
out.
to here
Yeah.
and
No,
just.
there's-
That's the problem I was running into, I can't make
There's-
this.
I got, let me
There's
see,
nothing to
if
stop.
I'm understanding.
Whatever's coming this
Sorry, I'm gonna do
direction.
something really stupid.
Trying to say, hey,
If he's
it's
throwing
not-
this
it's
big
not-
looping
it's
hand,
sitting at this-
and I'm trying to go out, no,
But if I'm here,
no, no.
one,
Things
two,
you, if your partner is doing nonsense like this,
if
while
I
you're trying
act
to learn something
in
to
this
drill,
direction,
let me know or punch you in the chest and let me know that they need to punch straight.
or into my head.
Or tell them.
We're
punch
learning.
their head.
Yeah.
We're trying to learn here. This, for now, this isn't what we're trying to discuss. Because this is a different technique. There's no way I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Too high for a middle block?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So I move this spot,
We're on 3, but we can stop.
move this spot, alright, let's go ahead and stop. Oof. Yeah, question. You got something for us, Scott?
I do, sir.
Oof.
The simplest kanji you can possibly learn is a horizontal line like that. That just means one. The next simplest kanji you can learn is 2 horizontal lines. That means 2. Next simplest kanji, 3 horizontal lines. That means 3.
Yes.
You can probably see where I'm going with this.
Yes.
The next one's not quite so simple as you might like, but that's 4. We know how to pronounce this, I'm sure. Anyone?
Come on, somebody.
Ichi-ni-san, shi.
Yes, sir. Ichi ni san shi is the way we normally count in Japanese, and correspondingly, shi is actually the own reading of this. It is the own reading because lesser known is that ichi ni san shi is actually derived from the Chinese numbers. It's not native Japanese. If you learn any of the Chinese languages, which I don't know, but if I could count in Chinese, you would kind of hear that it sounds vaguely similar still, even in non-Chinese. The native Japanese language actually had a system of counting too that goes hito, futa, mi, yon. It's used for a few things still, a few key things, but not all that often. But because of that, the kun reading of this from Japanese is actually yon. One weird side effect of 4 specifically is that sometimes if you're trying to be very polite, you will use the word yon instead of shi, just because shi is also the Japanese word for death, which people don't like to hear. Same thing with shichi. People often use nana substitute, but in substitution. I don't hear it all that often, but supposedly it's something that they do in Japan, so I'll take their word for it.
Yawn.
Yon, yes.
You know,
Yes,
Yon.
exactly.
Where else might you hear yon?
If you're counting like objects, you would be counting using the hito, futa, mi system, so hitotsu, futatsu, mitsu, yotsu. That sequence uses entirely the Japanese numerals.
Yandan is a brain.
There's what I was looking for. Yandan is a 4th rank black belt. So it's not chi-dan, it's yondan.
Okay, this one. Point out the thing on the side here. The balance of it is kind of terrible, but with some leeway. It looks a lot like the kanji for moon. It's not actually moon, it's actually a simplified form of the kanji for meat. You will often see it as the left side of kanji that refer to body parts. This particular one happens to refer to your upper legs, or the place where your upper legs join, for lack of a more elegant term, the crotch. Can be read with the native Japanese terms for kun readings. Mata is your crotch. It can also, I think, be used to write momo, your thigh. The on reading is ko. So, what has 4 crotches? The answer is not an octopus. If you read the own readings of this together, though, you may recognize the word. Any guesses? We have shi, we have po.
Shiko.
There it is. Shikodachi is actually written like
Sumo
this.
stance.
I think you said it, what was that?
The sumo stance, or the horse stance.
That is one way of explaining it, yes. From the kanji, the 4 in this case actually means squarish. It's used to refer to things that are square sometimes. Shikaku is a square, a 4-corner thing, so it can be used to refer to squares in compounds. So in this case, we are referring to a stance in which your crotch or your legs are square in some sense. That's what the kanji are trying to evoke. I'm not really certain. I would invite any feedback on this from Shihan, exactly what they're referring to, if they're trying to say that this angle is square, or if you're doing a really low one, if this whole angle is a square, or what. I really don't know. It gets a little more complicated than that because, as I think you said, it's actually derived from the term shiko as used as a iconic folk stance in sumo. In sumo, you would go into something like shiko to open a match as a opening ritual or something. It's also very common for an exercise exactly like that. So it's kind of an iconic thing in sumo, and I think a lot of the reason they chose that to refer to shikodachi in karate is because they're trying to say less about what the angle of your thighs is and more do that thing they do in sumo, is kind of my guess. I couldn't find too much specific stuff explaining in either English and Japanese how the term came about, but that's just my guess. I'm also not entirely sure where sumo got the term. The dictionary says that shiko is an instance of ateji, meaning that the kanji were applied after the fact. The word is a best guess of what it means, but the word probably predated those kanji. Sumo has been around forever as far as I know, so I would not be surprised if it was a word in common use well before kanji were even introduced. I don't know enough details about sumo to speculate any further on that. So,
Something to think about.
any further questions?
I know, Chico, we call that horse stance, correct?
Yeah.
What's the word for horse?
From what I was able to tell, a lot of styles of karate actually distinguish between shiko, which is here with the feet turned out, versus kibadachi, with the feet turned straight forward. Kiba is actually some compound meaning horse. I'm not sure what the other kanji is, but the ba there is just horse. Shiko I have seen translated as square stance in some sources. Depending on style, I think they're kind of treated as vaguely interchangeable, as far as I know.
It's a lazy way of switching the stance. Kiba and shiko are definitely two different stances, as Scott very correctly pointed out. It became a horse stance just out of sheer laziness, pure and simple. There's no other way around to say that. So when we say horse stance, we're actually talking about shiko, not actually kiba. If I had to guess, going back to what you're saying about square, all stances have a triangular base. Like this would be more or less a front stance. Your lead foot, your rear foot, and the imaginary point dropping down from your spine. So if you're in shiko, foot, spine, so normally we would do this, but if we added a target, it would become a square. That's my guess on the square part.
Yeah, I guess it might also be referring to the right angle there at the top as well, sir.
Yeah, oh yeah, these are all right angles right here, and if you add in this, it's a right angle there. Absolutely. So again, it might just mean square by meaning right angle. That's a good point too.
Yeah, that was my first guess, was trying to avoid this being a right angle.
Yes. Cool. Cool. Okay, before we close out, last thing I wanted to cover is a little dojo theory and testing theory, for lack of a better way of phrasing it. Let me back up. Kanshi always had a saying, he had many sayings. One was, every test is a class, every class is a test. So every time you show up here, that's why when we say, when you come to test, you're not showing us what you know, because we already know what you know. We're trying to figure out what you don't know, this kind of thing. And it's one of the reasons, on occasion, where he would just walk into the middle of class, throw you a belt or throw your certificate and say you've been promoted. There were a couple of times that I didn't physically test. But I was taking private classes with him, I was training a ton with him, and he just walked in and threw a belt at me. there are on occasions where people do so tremendously well on a test, it's just their day, that they skip rank. Typically, it doesn't happen because John James likes to keep everybody pretty much on track, so we don't let you go too long without testing, is one thing. And the other thing is, it's basically a lottery winning day when that happens. I know of 2 people that that's happened to, off the top of my head. On occasion, you don't do that well in a test, but you do better than expected. I mean, like, really better than expected. You don't know enough, you don't have enough experience, you didn't do well enough to physically skip rank, but there is some recognition. So you see especially some of the kids floating around here because they're here 4 or 5 days a week for hours. Okay. You see a black stripe on their open. Right? So they tested, they outshined what they were expected to do, they outshined everybody else in the test, so they were awarded something. Okay, it doesn't apply to brown belts because it's just brown belt rank. You peel those off. Okay. The other thing that the black stripe is awarded for is outstanding effort and accomplishment in related yet ancillary arts. Okay. And which brings us to why we're here tonight. Scott, come here. So, in recognition of the outstanding job that you've been doing teaching Japanese, especially last week and this week, head and shoulders, and because of several very astute philosophical insights that I've been made aware of, I'm going to really use black stuff. Ooh, back in line. Now would be the time to applaud.
Kyosuke, Shamani, hey, Shani, hey, Otagani, hey.
Questions, comments, concerns? We'll go with no.
Sort of. Does Shituru have a preference on Ray, whether you look opponent or? I've heard different
Shituru
styles.
does not, personally, depending upon who you're talking to, you'll get a personal opinion. Shituru is in a general format, does not.
Or
It came
some
from him,
styles
it
that
came
do,
from,
So,
but,
I've just some styles that have different.
well, yeah, some styles it's this way for the style. For all of Shituru, I'm gonna say no, there's not a general Shituru because I've seen it done different ways. He always told me in the way that I do it, eyes are up always. Shituru, the Chikibukai people, when you're bowing to the showmen, they demand that you keep your eyes down because they look at it as you're keeping your eyes up because you're looking at an enemy. So they figure if your eyes are up while you're bowing to the showman, that you're thinking that these guys are your enemies. I look at it more from the way he always presented it was, your eyes are up out of awareness, not out of an assumption of an enemy.
Yes.
So that's why I say for universities, within the 2 very close-knit groups of Shituru that we're affiliated with, they have 2 opposite opinions. So there's no universal for Shituru. My preference is to keep your eyes up. Don't get yourself to. Now, we can get into all of Japanese culture, who looks, who doesn't, who bows deeper, who bows first, but that's a story for another day. Anything else?
Sir?
Once again, excellent job, Mr. Scott. Moose, what's the next? Go home.
Yes.